Welcome back to another episode of No Shame with Shane, where the takes have no lies, no bias, but most importantly, no shame. I'm your host, Shane Fordham. Now, I'm looking at this preseason game between the Eagles and the Bengals, and honestly, my backup quarterback is looking like a starter. Hey, my backup quarterback looks like a starter right now. Tanner McKee was by far the most impressive player on the field out of both teams. I mean, there were definitely some bright spots on the Eagles side for sure, but there's no doubt Tanner McKee was the shining star tonight. Was the shining star. Tanner McKee looked like a starter against the Bengals in that first preseason game. Tanner McKee, there's no question he looked like a starter. I mean, he made great pre-snap adjustments. He was dissecting the defense, reading their coverages like a book. He was accurate. He was throwing darts and lasers all night, incredibly accurate. He was finding the end zone. He trusted his receivers. I mean, he energized the team. Like, honestly, that's the type of influence and performance you want to see out of your quarterback. Tanner McKee tonight looked like a starter. And honestly, looking at the way Tanner McKee played in this first preseason game, I honestly think Tanner McKee could start on several NFL teams right now. I think Tanner McKee, the way he's looked in training camp, the way he looked against the Bengals, I think he could start on several NFL teams right now. Like, I wouldn't be like, I don't think it's crazy to say Tanner McKee could start on at least 5 NFL teams right now, the way they're currently constructed. Like, to me, I honestly think Tanner McKee could start on the Saints. No question. Could start for the Saints with their current quarterback situation. I think he could start for the Browns. I think he could start for the Colts. I think he could start for the Giants. And I honestly think he could start for the Seahawks. I think any one of those teams would celebrate having a quarterback like Tanner McKee on their roster right now. Tanner McKee was impressive. He was a true leader of this offense. He was a true field general. Like, looking at these different teams, like looking at first the Saints. Tanner McKee could start on the Saints easily. There is no capable starter in that quarterback position on the Saints roster right now. They don't have one. Like, there's no question Tanner McKee clears Tyler Show. No question he clears him. And I don't think it would even be close in a position battle between Tanner McKee and Spencer Rattler. Like, I don't think Spencer Rattler or Tyler Show are giving Tanner McKee any type of comp in training camp for that starting job if Tanner McKee was in New Orleans. I just don't think that's the case. Especially with the weapons that the Saints have on offense. Chris Olave, a healthy Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, Alvin Kamara, Trevor Penning, and a decent O-line. Like, I think there's no question Tanner McKee would be able to do way more with that offense than what Tyler Show or Spencer Rattler will be able to do with that offense this year. No question. I'm looking at the Browns. I think Tanner McKee could easily clear Kenny Pickett and Dillon Gabriel. There's no question Tanner McKee is better than Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett has not been impressing anyone in training camp. And there's no question Tanner McKee could clear Dillon Gabriel. Dillon Gabriel has looked terrible in training camp at this point. I think Tanner McKee can clear both of those guys, can start over both of those guys. And I honestly think he's given Shedeur Sanders a run for his money. Now, I don't think he's a better quarterback than Shedeur Sanders. I don't think he could fair and square beat out Shedeur Sanders for that starting job. But I think the Browns organization would lean more towards Tanner McKee just off the simple fact that they clearly have no love for Shedeur right now. Like, they have no love for Shedeur right now. They don't want to start Shedeur Sanders right now, even though he's the best quarterback on that roster right now. Better than Dillon Gabriel, better than Kenny Pickett, better than Tyler Huntley or whoever else they just signed. Even though Shedeur Sanders better than Joe Flacco, even though Shedeur Sanders is better than all of those quarterbacks on that roster, they still have no intention, or at least are trying to fight the urge to start him. They really don't want to start him. They have no love for Shedeur. So I definitely think Tanner McKee could definitely start for the Browns right now, because I think he beats out any other quarterback in that QB room. I think he beats out Kenny Pickett. I think he beats out Dylan Gabriel. I think he beats out Joe Flacco. And then I think he could get the starting job over Shedeur, just off the simple fact that the Browns organization has no love for Shedeur. They don't want Shedeur to be their starting quarterback. So it's not so much that I think Tanner McKee would beat out Shedeur Sanders fair and square for the starting job. I just think Tanner McKee would play well enough where he would beat out the other guys fair and square, but would play well enough to where the Browns would side with him over Shedeur. So I definitely think he could start for the Browns right now, both off of talent and politics. Talent and politics. Then looking at the Colts, I definitely think Tanner McKee could start for the Colts right now. The fact that it's even a position battle, the fact that Anthony Richardson is even in a position battle with Daniel Jones, says that Anthony Richardson is not living up to his potential right now. He's not living up to his potential right now, which means I think Tanner McKee, there's no question he could beat out Daniel Jones. That would be light work for him. But the fact that Anthony Richardson is in a position where he is competing for the starting job with Daniel Jones, I think that means that he is performing at an inferior level to what Tanner McKee is playing at right now and what he has been displaying in camp this summer. I think Tanner McKee could definitely start over Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones right now. I think it's more likely that Anthony Richardson is playing down to Daniel Jones's level, as opposed to Daniel Jones playing up to the level of what Anthony Richardson could be, playing up to what the potential of Anthony Richardson is. I think that's more likely as opposed to Daniel Jones playing up. So the fact that Anthony Richardson is playing down to Daniel Jones's level, to the point where they're battling it out for the starting job, I think there's no question Tanner McKee would go into an Indianapolis Colts situation and take over that starting job by a mile. Looking at the Giants, I think Tanner McKee could start for the Giants. I'm not going to lie. The way he looked tonight, I think he could start for the Giants. Like, I think there's no question Tanner McKee could beat out Jackson Dart. There's no question Tanner McKee is having a better camp than Jackson Dart. Jackson Dart is another guy who has not had a good training camp at all. Not had a good training camp at all this summer. Has not looked accurate. Has not shown to read coverage as well. Not raking the right throws. He's not on target. There's no question Tanner McKee beats out Jackson Dart for that starting job. And I think in camp, I think if you really, looking at Jameis Winston and Russell Wilson, I don't think the Giants could have serious playoff hopes with Jameis Winston as their starting quarterback. Now, Jameis Winston, I think, could put numbers on the board. He could produce statistically. But even though he'll put numbers on the board, even though he'll put up points, he's also liable to turn the ball over almost as many times as he throws a touchdown. So with the positive you get out of Jameis Winston, you also get a negative that kind of balances that out a bit. So I think Tanner McKee could definitely be more of a reliable option for the Giants for that starter position than Jameis Winston. Now, looking at Russell Wilson is obviously the favored starter, but I honestly think Tanner McKee could give Russell Wilson a run for his money. I think he could at least make it. I think he could at least make that a comp. I think Tanner McKee could at least give Russell Wilson some serious comp for that starting role in the Giants. And I don't think it's crazy. I don't think it's crazy to say that Tanner McKee could fair and square beat Russell Wilson out for that starting job. Just because of how confident Tanner McKee looked tonight, how accurate he looked tonight, how just how in control of the unit he looked tonight. I don't think that's crazy to say Tanner McKee could start over Russell Wilson in that offense, especially with the weapons that they have in New York. When he has a Malik Neighbors to throw to, when he has a Darius Slayton to throw to. I don't think that's crazy. Then looking at Seattle, I don't think it's crazy to say Tanner McKee could start for the Seahawks over Sam Darnold. I don't think that's crazy. Sam Darnold obviously had a career year last year. I believe he led, if he didn't lead, he was top 3 in passing yards last season with the Vikings. But I'm not ready to say just because of what Sam Darnold did last season that just gives him the automatic right for any starter job that he is up for right now. Like, I don't think that just gives him I don't think that makes him the automatic favorite to win the starting job in Seattle when he's competing against a guy like Tanner McKee. Like, I don't think that's crazy to say, because we're not going to act like we know that Vikings offense was loaded last year, just like it is this year. Best receiver in the game in Justin Jefferson. Great number 2 receiver in Jordan Addison. TJ Hawkinson, an elite tight end when he's healthy. Aaron Jones at running back, an elite offensive line. Like, I don't think it's like, who knows? Tanner McKee might have been able to do the same thing in that Vikings offense. Who's to say Tanner McKee couldn't have put up similar numbers to what Sam Darnold did last season with that offense if Tanner McKee starts in that unit instead of Sam Darnold? Who's to say? Who's to say Tanner doesn't have a similar production in that Vikings offense to what Sam Darnold did? I don't think it's crazy to say Tanner McKee could beat out Sam Darnold for the starting job in Seattle. This Seahawks offense is not a Vikings offense. Sam Darnold has to be able to do at least close to what he did last year with this Seattle team for him to be looked at as a bona fide starter, a solidified quarterback in this league. Like, he has to do it one more year he has to replicate or perform close to the level he did last season with the Seahawks this season for it not to be considered a fluke. Because right now, what he did with the Vikings can be considered as a fluke, when you take into account what we saw from him with the Jets, what we saw from him with the Panthers. I don't think it's crazy to say that Tanner McKee can beat out Sam Darnold for the starting job in Seattle just because of one great year Sam Darnold had on a stacked offense in Minnesota. I don't think it's crazy to say Tanner McKee could start over Sam Darnold for the Seahawks. I mean, you look at Tanner McKee tonight. Tanner McKee looked like a starter. He looked like a starter. Like, I think either one of those teams, whether it's the Browns, the Colts, the Giants, the Seahawks, definitely the Saints, I think any one of those teams are celebrating if they have a quarterback like Tanner McKee on the roster. Tanner McKee looked like a starter tonight. 20 for 25, 80% completion percentage, 252 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, was accurate all night, throwing dots all night. But his pre-snap adjustments, the way he was able to read the coverage, the way he was able to make adjustments to the offensive line, make adjustments to the receivers, tell his running back what to do. The way he was able to could just have complete control over his offensive unit against the Bengals in this first preseason game. Tanner McKee showed a lot of maturity in this game. Showed a lot of maturity. I don't think it's crazy to say Tanner McKee looked like a starter from what we saw tonight against the Bengals. Definitely was by far the most impressive player from this game. Definitely one of the most impressive players from all of preseason week 1. Like, it'd be hard for Tanner McKee to drop out of that list as we go throughout preseason week 1. Like, honestly, looking at Tanner McKee tonight, watching Tanner McKee play honestly makes me feel like the Eagles can still win games at the end of the regular season when we start sitting our starters to get them ready for playoffs. You normally think because it's end of the regular season, your team has already clinched the playoff spot, has already clinched their seed, already clinched first seed. You're sitting your starters now to rest them up for playoffs. You normally think, all right, the Eagles will probably lose these last two games, this last game of the season. Like that's within the norm. With the way Tanner McKee looked in this preseason game, I honestly feel like the Eagles could still win those games, even with the starters being out, even with Jalen Hurts being out, even with the ones being out. The way Tanner McKee looked against the Bengals makes me feel like the Eagles could still win their games towards the end of the season as the squad is now preparing for playoffs. Like, I'm looking at Tanner McKee and I'm thinking he could still win that last game of the season against the Commanders with the twos. He could at least make it a game. At least make it a game. The way he looked tonight, whether we're sitting all the starters, whether we're just sitting Jalen, I'm comfortable with having Tanner McKee as my backup quarterback. After tonight, I'm comfortable. Now, looking at the rest of this preseason game, something else I was very encouraged in was our D-line. Like, seeing the way the D-line played tonight, it made me understand why the Eagles traded Thomas Booker for Jacorian Bennett. Like, after seeing the defense tonight, there's no question the Eagles need more help at DB than they do D-line. Like Ty Robinson getting his first sack in his first preseason game, it makes me feel like I was right. Like I was right for hyping up Ty Robinson. I was right for believing in Ty Robinson as definitely a major rotational piece for this defensive line going into this regular season. It made me feel like I was right. Like, with how good Ty Robinson has looked in training camp, with how promising Moro Ojomo has looked during training camp, obviously you got Jalen Carter, you got Jordan Davis. Like, it makes me understand even more than I did before why the Eagles traded Thomas Booker for Jacorian Bennett. Because the Eagles definitely need more help at corner than we do at D-line. Because there's obviously Keely Ringo and Adoree Jackson did not have good nights tonight at all. Did not have good nights tonight. Like, struggling against the second to third stringers. Like, if they were struggling against the second to third stringers, I mean, imagine the type of difficulty they would have with Jamar Chase or T. Higgins. I honestly think after tonight, that starting job belongs to Jacorian Bennett. I think that's what it's going to be. He's coming in as a guy with starting experience. He's coming off of 2 good back-to-back seasons for the Raiders. A dependable starter at corner. I think he's definitely the safer bet. Like, I definitely think Jacorian Bennett is more of an asset for this defense than Thomas Booker was, because the Eagles are good at D-line. That's not the issue. The issue is corner for sure. They definitely need more depth at that corner spot, which is what Jacorian Bennett provides to this unit. So that concerned me a little bit. That definitely concerned me a little bit. But I feel great about Ty Robinson. Getting his first sack, first preseason game. Oh, yeah. Ty Robinson, literally did what he has shown, literally did in the game what he has been showing he could do in training camp and throughout his collegiate career at Nebraska. Like, in training camp, he's been proving to be disruptive. Definitely has been impressing not just his teammates, but the coaches. Like in college, he was not just a run stopper, but he was a pass rusher, just a pure disruptor. Violent with his hands, a dangerous blend of size, violence, and quickness. He definitely displayed that tonight. He got his sack, but he also made a lot of different factor plays on the field that put more pressure on that Bengals pocket for sure. So Ty Robinson was definitely a promising showing tonight. And I also think the young linebackers with Jahad Campbell and Jeremiah Trotter Jr. were impressive tonight as well. They both, even though they didn't come down with their respective would have been interceptions, would have been turnovers, they were in the right place. Like they were where they needed to be. During the regular season, those will be interceptions. They may not have gotten their interceptions tonight in this preseason game, but during the regular season, those are going to be interceptions. The fact that they were even in a position to make those plays, the fact that they were flying around the field the way that they were against the Bengals, there's no question in the regular season, those drops are going to be catches. Those drops are going to be interceptions. Like, look, the way, like, watching Jahad Campbell and Jeremiah Trotter Jr. tonight kind of iron out the kinks in their game, it makes me believe even more that the Eagles could have the best linebacker core in the NFL this year. Obviously, Zach Bond is going to be leading the charge, Defensive Player of the Year candidate. Nakobe Dean, when he's healthy, plays like an elite linebacker. But then you also throw these guys into the mix, Jeremiah Trotter Jr., who has greatness in his genes from Eagles legend Jeremiah Trotter Sr., also Jahad Campbell, South Jersey native, the hometown hero, neighborhood hero, who has the same exact versatility, range, and depth and athleticism as Zach Bond. There's no doubt the Eagles will have the best linebacker core in the NFL this year, and tonight against the Bengals was proof of that. But that's all for today's edition of No Shame with Shane. If you haven't already, be sure to like, follow, and subscribe to all of our social media platforms, and I will be back later on with more shameless takes.